Well, welcome back, everyone. I want to start with a statistic. A lot of talk about income disparity these days. But did you know that for a single person, poverty line is $11,000 or $12,000? And for a family of four, it's $24,000. Can you imagine trying to raise a couple of kids, $24,000 a year? Well, there's a place in Glens Falls. It's called the Open Door Mission, and their mission is to help people in need. And joining me today is the acting director, Kim Cook. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you for having me.
Very nice to have you here. So there's a lot of information. First, give me and give our viewers just a quick sense of what the Open Door Mission's mission is.
Well, our mission is to help people who are poor in our area in a tangible way. And we are a Christian mission, but we want to help them by feeding them, housing them, helping them in whatever way we can to lead a productive life.
And as you were telling me before we went on air, that is a whole range of issues. Let's go through some of just the fundamentals that the mission provides. The meal program, each day, lunch and dinner.
Right.
You're serving meals to people in need in Glens Falls, no questions asked.
No questions. Anybody can walk in our door and we'll feed them.
I got you.
You know, it's kind of a family there, and they come in, we eat together, we laugh together, and we help them any way we can. And as they come in, that's when we find out the other needs that we can kind of help to fill, and we can direct them in other ways as well.
Right, and many of us are used to hearing soup kitchen in reference to that. However, we're also talking about a food pantry, and this is where you supply people food to take with them.
Right. I have an average of probably 20 people a month that will come in and say, I'm completely out of food. I don't get food stamps for another week. They may be unemployed or having physical problems or whatever, and they'll come in and I'll give them a box of food that'll hopefully last them a week or two.
You know, just to cycle back on that, think of what it's like to go someplace and ask for food because you don't have any food.
You know, some of the people that come in are so hesitant to ask.
Of course.
It's like a couple of months ago I had a man come in and it was so hard for him to ask me for food. And I just said, it's okay. I understand this is hard for you, but that's why we're here. Don't worry about it. And he cried.
Sure, of course.
It was so hard for him, and I just wanted to make it a little easier and to give him what he needed so that he could, you know, lose the stress of the food and concentrate on the important issues that he had in his family.
You know, I mean, we're talking about some of the physical needs here. If you think about some of the psychological needs, the isolation of poverty is something that people would rarely think about, right? The backpack program I found particularly interesting. Tell us about that.
Everyone loves the backpack program because it's kids, you know, and none of us like to see that kids are hungry. You know, we do a great job in our schools feeding kids every day with free or reduced lunches, but what do those kids do on the weekend? So we pack up food every Friday and send it. The PTAs will come and pick it up, and they pack it in backpacks and send it home with the kids that they've determined either don't have food or maybe don't have anybody who's really supervising them, cooking for them, feeding them over the weekend. So we give them breakfast foods and snacks and fruit and sandwiches and enough for probably 4 meals over the course of the weekend. Over the
course of the weekend. And I think you were telling me the number was, in terms of the kids being helped, was in the 70s?
Yeah, right now it's 74 kids a week that we feed.
74 kids a week. You're making a difference in their lives is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to food and food items, you'll supply them with other healthcare needs. You know, give us an idea about what you're doing there.
You know, our guests will come in and say, do you have any toilet paper? Do you have shampoo?
Any of those health needs.
Anything, yeah. Sometimes, you know, if they're sick with a cold, they need the same kind of medicine that we would just go to the grocery store and buy.
Sure.
And they don't have the money for that.
I think you were telling me, which was, again, so many of these stories are heartbreaking, but I think to get on the more positive side of it is that you're doing something to help them. But when someone comes in asking for help and doesn't have gasoline to put in their car to get home.
Right, right.
And we're not talking about one person, out of 1 million people. We're talking about the numbers that would probably be pretty startling to most of our viewers.
Yeah, there really are. I don't think anything of jumping in my car and driving to Saratoga for a doctor's visit.
Right.
But for some people, that's a major problem. They don't have the money. They may not have a car.
That's right.
And they have to give somebody gas money to get them down here.
Right.
So just a $10 gas card is just a huge blessing to them.
Well, the Open Door mission, by the way, is right in Glens Falls, right downtown on Lawrence Street. And here's another statistic that you might find interesting. Everyone decides to donate money around the holidays, November and December. You get to these months and you start moving through the summer months, those funds dry up, don't they?
They really do. Every nonprofit is kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel by fall.
Right. Got you.
And, then of course in November it picks up again. But we really appreciate those donors that remember us all year.
Right. Now, and also remember that we had a really brutal winter, that you were involved in the Code Blue program.
Right.
And I mean, how many people were there this winter? There were quite a few.
Right. We helped a total of 53 people
Wow.
over the time that we were open.
And this means a difference in life and death for these people, quite honestly.
This winter it definitely would have.
Sure.
We were open for 71 nights.
Okay.
And I can't imagine being out in those kinds of temperatures. I'm sure we would have had some people die if they'd had to stay outside in those nights.
So here's what all of us can do. We had a particularly brutal winter. The Open Door Mission was involved with the Code Blue program. They're in need of funds. Donations are greatly appreciated.
Very much.
And they could be donations, monetary donations. They could be food item donations. There's a number of them. The way to find out, of course, is to get a hold of the Open Door Mission and see what you can do to help our community. And everyone in the world needs help, but these are people in our community, right in our backyard, who you are helping on a daily basis.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to see this interview again? You can head to our website, which is looktvonline.com.